una voz muy autorizada desde Silicon Valley. Y muchas voces en Silicon Valley están diciendo lo mismo. Una California independiente, un referendo independentista. Nos vamos con Luis Marinelli. Él es presidente de Yes California. Yes California es el movimiento que busca la independencia de California. Algo parecido a lo que está pasando en España con Cataluña, o lo que ha pasado con Cataluña, y que le daría un giro a la economía de los Estados Unidos, ya que California, pues, solita es una potencia económica mundial. Luis Marinelli está con nosotros y preside Yes California. Mr. Marinelli, good morning, good afternoon for you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your program.
Mr. Marinelli, there is something I don't understand. How the person who is leading this idea is living in Ekaterinburg, Russia?
Well, I'm an English teacher by profession, and so for the last 10 years or so, I have been traveling back and forth between the United States and Russia as an English teacher, and last year I signed a contract to return to Russia and take a position as an English teacher in Russia for a year. And in the middle of that contract, Donald Trump was elected president of the United States, and our campaign really kind of took off. And so I'm here to complete my contract as an English teacher and to fulfill my obligations, and then I intend to return back to California and make it an independent country.
Thank you very much for your explanation. Bueno, le preguntaba cómo el líder de la salida de California de la Unión, que se conoce como el Cal Exit, California salida, Cal Exit, California Exit, vive en Ekaterimburgo, Rusia. Y nos explica que todo esto de Trump lo cogió a él en la mitad de un contrato que tiene como profesor de inglés en Rusia, pero que está listo para asumir la presidencia de ese nuevo país, California. Quiero preguntarle qué tan real es su propuesta. How real could be your proposal?
Well, our proposal is actually very realistic because we have in California the right as citizens of California to propose a referendum on any topic. And if we are successful at collecting the number of signatures that we need to qualify, that number being 600,000, we collect 600,000 signatures out of 40 million Californians, then we will have the right to have this referendum. So our goals are very realistic.
Sí, es muy realista, Julio, la verdad, porque digamos que los ciudadanos de California tienen el derecho a proponer una clase de referendo, cualquiera que sea, solo con 600,000 firmas. Y pues un estado con tantos millones de personas es muy fácil conseguir 600,000 firmas.
Mariana, podría preguntarle pues precisamente al señor Marinelli que la Constitución de California dice que es una parte inseparable de Estados Unidos, o sea que estas 600,000 firmas, ¿de dónde saca él que le podrían dar el derecho a la separación?
But, Mr. Marinelli, we understand that California's constitution says that California as a state is inseparable from the United States. So what makes you think that those 600,000 signatures will eventually lead to a collexit?
Well, because what our referendum does is it actually removes that text from the California Constitution. And we point out that the original California Constitution, which was adopted by the people of California in 1849, did not contain that text. It was added to the California Constitution 20 years later, 2 decades after the people of California adopted the Constitution. That language was added to it. So we are now removing that language, and then we are going to proceed afterwards with a vote on independence.
Lo que buscan estas 600,000 firmas es precisamente remover y quitarle ese lenguaje del que usted nos habla, Daniel. Ya no será una parte de la Constitución esa frase de que California es inseparable de los Estados Unidos. Y digamos que él nos dice que inicialmente la Constitución del Estado no tenía eso en su escrito. En 1849 los ciudadanos de California prácticamente eran independientes de alguna manera de Estados Unidos, y solo fue 20 años después que se diseñó ese específico texto.
Señor Marinelli, si se produjera esa independencia que todos los expertos judiciales ven bastante complicado de poderse llevar a cabo, pero si se produjera la independencia, ¿qué relación mantendría California con el resto de los estados de la Unión en ese momento en el que se produjese?
What if Calexit were to happen, even though it looks complicated by the opinion of many judicial experts, what kind of relationship would California maintain with the rest of the United States?
Well, ideally, we would like to maintain a friendly relationship with the rest of the country. We want to maintain trade relations and work together with the Americans on a host of issues where there are common goals and our interests are aligned. However, we don't intend to be a puppet of Washington that will follow along with whatever it's working on or whatever it's doing every time. We are going to be an independent country. We're going to maintain good and positive relationship with the United States, but we're also going to try to develop and rebuild our relationships with the rest of the world. So it's not really just a question of our relationship with the United States, but more importantly, I think, is what kind of relationships we can build with other countries around the world, especially those countries with we've had hostile or antagonistic relationships in the past that don't need to be hostile or antagonistic. We can develop friendly relationships with all countries around the world.
Bueno, idealmente ellos mantendrían una relación bastante amistosa con el resto del país, con relaciones comerciales, digamos, metas en común, pero ellos quieren dejar de ser un títere de Washington y ellos quieren simplemente restablecer también buenas relaciones con otros países con que los Estados Unidos probablemente tienen una mala relación. Entonces sería una visión mucho más independiente hacia el resto del mundo sobre lo que es California.
¿Cree que la llegada a la presidencia de Estados Unidos del señor Donald Trump ayuda al sentimiento de independencia en California?
Do you think that Donald Trump's arrival to the presidency is what is feeding this feeling towards supporting a Calexit or an independent California?
Well, Donald Trump's election certainly adds fuel to the fire, but our campaign has been active for about 3 years, and we've been growing for about 3 years. And in fact, just today I would point out that our campaign has a larger social media following than the California Democratic Party. And so we are now growing to the point where we're more powerfully in terms of social media than the California Democratic Party, which is pretty significant. So Donald Trump certainly added fuel to the fire. He's not the only reason, but he's certainly a large reason. The bigger problem that we have is the American people, with whom we have a great difference in culture and ideological beliefs and our core values even. So we want to separate from the United States, not just because of Donald Trump, but because of the character of the American people.
Rafael, definitivamente le puso leña al fuego la llegada del presidente Donald Trump al poder, pero digamos que su campaña lleva activa durante unos 3 años. Hoy en día su campaña en redes sociales tiene más seguidores que el Partido Demócrata en California. Digamos que sí, Donald Trump es una de las razones, se ha vuelto una gran razón, pero el problema más de fondo es que ellos se consideran muy distintos al resto del pueblo americano en cultura, en digamos, en creencias, en los valores. Ellos creen que son muy distintos al resto del pueblo americano.
Como él dice, la idea lleva ya algún tiempo, tomó fuerza con la llegada del señor Trump a la presidencia, pero la realidad es que sigue siendo minoritaria esa corriente en California. ¿No reconocería él que todavía siguen siendo muy minoritarios los porcentajes de población que quieren separarse más allá de la recolección de firmas?
What we know that you, as you say, your movement has been growing. For example, on social media, you clearly laid that out. But we're just wondering, there's a reality of that in California, there's a minority of people that are in accordance or in agreement with what you're saying. You are not the majority. You do not represent the majority of Californians. So, what do you believe about this? I mean, will you accept that this is a far-fetched reality then?
No, not at all. I mean, we don't have a majority support of the people of California right now, but we do have a growing support. I mean, in November, our support in the political opinion polls was about 22%, and most recently at the end of January, that number has grown to 33% of people who are supporting independence. And if you combine the people who support independence with the people who are unsure and want time to think about it, we're at about 47 or 48% of the population of California who is at least considering, if not supporting, California independence. And so that's a pretty significant amount of people who are backing our campaign. We are growing on social media. We have 8,000 volunteers across the state, and we are going to be hard at work to bring our message to people of California, a message of change, a positive message of a new future for California, and an opportunity for us to have a country that reflects our values as Californians and to be separated from all the negativity and dysfunction that exists in Washington. So we're very encouraged by the growth that we've seen. We're very encouraged by the current strength that we have now, and we have a long way to go yet to work, but we're still working with it.
No necesariamente, Félix, le parece desmotivante que sean la minoría de los californianos los que apoyan un Calexit. Nos deja muy claro que, por ejemplo, en noviembre las encuestas decían que un 22% de los californianos los apoyaban. Ahora, en enero, la nueva encuesta dijo que ese número creció a 33%. Si combinan ese número con las personas que están inseguras o indecisas todavía sobre el Calexit, si apoyarlo o no, eso suma alrededor de un 47 o 48%. Entonces, digamos que él reconoce que hay mucho campo por conquistar, pero que se puede conquistar. El campo existe para conquistar y eso lo motiva porque en algún momento dado, según él, el Calexit puede volverse una realidad.
Mariana, él tiene el apoyo de buena parte de Silicon Valley, en donde se concentra una importante cantidad de la economía, de las tecnologías. Pero quiero preguntarle, además de Silicon Valley, ¿qué dice la gente de la industria cinematográfica? ¿Qué dice Hollywood?
We know that you have the support of Silicon Valley, of those tech startups that drive a lot or a big part of California's economy. But we'd like to ask you, what about Hollywood, which is the other humongous industry in California? What do they think about your campaign?
Sure. Well, we have some support in Hollywood as well. I mean, we are currently working on a project with a HBO Cinemax TV program to be promoting CalExit through that medium. And so we certainly have support in Silicon Valley, we have support in Hollywood, we have support in the Central Valley with the agriculture industry. We have broad support across the state of California. It's not tied down to one ideology or one region. It's really broad because a lot of people have come to the realization that regardless of ideology, that Washington is broken and dysfunctional and doesn't serve the interests of the people of California, and that we as Californians could do a better job of governing California than the rest of the country can. And so that's really what's the driving factors of this campaign, not regional and not ideological, but it's pretty broad.
Julio, la verdad es que según el señor Marinelli, en Hollywood también tienen apoyo. Nos dice que HBO y Cinemax están haciendo un programa con esta campaña para promocionar el Calexit a través de esos medios. Silicon Valley y Hollywood no serían los únicos, también está la industria agropecuaria, que también ellos encuentran que tienen mucho soporte entre ellos. Y digamos que no es solo una ideología, nos lo deja muy claro el señor Marinelli. Varias personas de distintos áreas, de distintas industrias apoyan esta campaña.
California llegó a ser la quinta economía del mundo, pero también sufrió. Hoy, ¿cuál es el real valor de la economía de California? ¿En qué puesto está en el mundo?
California was once the fifth economy of the world, and then it suffered because of the economic crisis that we recently saw. Today, what is the value of California's economy? What is its ranking?
Well, actually, I mean, yes, to point out, we did suffer quite significantly in California because of the recession, which, by the way, was caused by American and Washington economic policies, not by California's policies. But we did suffer and we did survive through it. But California today remains the sixth largest economy in the world. And we are on track to overtake the United Kingdom as the fifth largest economy in the world if their value of their currency continues to depreciate after their Brexit vote. But California is still the sixth largest economy in the world. We have, even during the height of the recession, we fell back to number 9. And so California, even during the recession, always remains a top 10 global economy.
Según el señor Marinelli, Julio, hoy en día California es la sexta economía del mundo, va un poco detrás del Reino Unido. Según el señor Marinelli, están a punto de tomar otra vez el quinto puesto por encima del Reino Unido. Durante la recesión fue la número 9 y él dice que pues California siempre ha estado entre las 10 primeras economías del mundo, lo cual es una prueba de por qué se deberían independizar.
Mr. Marinelli, thank you very much for your time and have a good afternoon in Ekaterinburg, Russia.
Thank you so much for having me.